On behalf of the Kent Scouts Request 2021 Antarctic Project, I'm here at Shackleton's Cairn on South Georgia, 100 years to mark the day that the original Shackleton-ROWETT Quest Expedition left from South Georgia to head home to England. The following is an extract from Scout Marr's Into the Frozen South.
So on May the 3rd, a great work was commenced, our offering to our dead and revered leader. A great cairn was to be built on top of a high noble bluff, commanding a magnificent view of the bay, and accordingly a large party was put ashore, armed with shovels and picks, and borrowing a couple of sledges from the magistrate, we proceeded to the summit of the bluff. Mac commenced at once to dig out the foundations, and as there were no suitable stones at hand, we others climbed a steep slope and quarried out the side of a hill a quarter of a mile away. Despite the labour this entailed, we all worked with a will, for there was a definite feeling in all that Shackleton himself was directing our efforts as of old. His spirit seemed to hover over us, and we exulted in our tribute. Mr. Douglas attempted to blast the rock near the side of the cairn, but he had no success. So we continued our work all day, bringing the stones down the hill on the sledges, and by evening the cairn was 3 feet high. Immediately after breakfast next day, we went ashore again to continue our labours. Young ice had formed overnight on the water, and pulling the boat was no easy task. In order to expedite our work, we lashed boxes on the sledges to increase their carrying capacity. But Dr. Macklin's sledge came to grief at the foot of a slope, and he had to perforce to return to the magistrates for another. Up and down we went as hard as we could go, and in the course of the forenoon transported about 10 tons of rock. Mac made an excellent job of the building, and whilst we ashore, we toiled hard. The engineers aboard fashioned a noble cross, and this was erected on the summit of the cairn in the afternoon. On the day following, the finishing touches were put to the cairn, and a brass plate was cemented in, bearing just the simple inscription which said more than whole volumes maybe. Sir Ernest Shackleton, explorer, died here January 5th, 1922, erected by his comrades. It was evening when work was done, and in the waning light we gazed on the completed cairn, standing out dark against the snow, and felt how grand and beautiful was its setting, how fitting it was as a monument to Shackleton. The dying sun made a lovely picture on the smooth frozen waters of the bay and enhanced the exquisite beauty of the white mountains beyond. We turned away and walked slowly homewards, not speaking much because he seemed to be very near. We left Grytviken on May the 7th, a Sunday, and steamed across to Cumberland Bay. On the way, we passed Sir Ernest Cairn, and the ship's company stood to attention, facing in salute. The skipper afterwards remarked to me on the excellence of the selected site. It promised to stand there as a perpetual landmark to all who entered the bay. Gradually was lifted the inevitable pall of sadness that had clung about the quest after our sorrowful labours. So I just want to say a huge thank you both to Vicky Foster and to Sarah Clark for everything you've done to help us keep up this link with the original Quest expedition 100 years ago. So the photo behind is when Vicky helped us out in January, when everyone held the service at Shackleton's grave. And thank you, Sarah, so much for visiting the cairn and the cross for us today. So really, really appreciate that. And we're hoping that we can keep an unbroken chain all the way back to the UK now via Cape Town. And that would be absolutely fantastic to finally make its way back and follow the original expedition route. So thank you so much, Vicky. Thank you so much, Sarah.